One day you woke up and realized you don't recognize the world around you. Until Trump. President Trump came along and said, "This is your country, and that's your money." And he wouldn't back down. All the people that were destroying you came out and spoke against him. They went to great lengths to undermine his agenda. When President Trump hit his stride in 2019, they released a biological weapon that was the largest psyop in global history. COVID. They ran the scamdemic. They extorted trillions of dollars out of your economy. Then they stole your election overtly, hijacked your democracy, put up barbed wire fencing around your capital, and told you it was normal. During the next 4 years, they would unleash an invasion the likes of which no nation had ever seen. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of illegals poured in the United States of America and began gobbling up whatever remaining resources were in existence. You were deemed a domestic terrorist by those in power. They surveilled your phones, your computers. They surveilled your lives, but it wasn't enough to stop Donald Trump. When they couldn't undermine his campaign through the courts and lawfare, they eventually tried to kill him again and again and again, until that fateful day in November when President Trump and America reclaimed their sovereignty. With him, he brought the richest man on the planet, for free, named Elon Musk. They then began uncovering and publicizing all of fraud, theft, waste, and abuse of the American taxpayer. They have threatened him. They have threatened his family. Subversion is all they have left. Infiltration is all they have left. Their funding is drying up. This is your Liberation Day.
What is up, guys? Tyson Dela Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Today is April 14th, 2025. Shout out to everybody catching this on the live. If you're catching this on the live, come on in, come on in. If you're catching this on the replay, type in replay in the comment section down below. Just a quick housekeeping. Those of you that are catching this on the replay, know, again, I'm going to place timestamps at the bottom of this. It's going to be in the description down below if you are catching this on the replay. So you can jump forward and back and forward. And, the only thing that I ask is that you smash the like button. And if you've been here second round, third round, whatever the situation is, smash the subscribe button. If you like the content, it's free. Shout out to everybody in the live chat. What is up? What is up? I'm going to do a quick roll call. First off, I want to give a shout out to the mods in the chat, some of the best moderators in the business. And shout out to everybody that's in the live chat. What's going on, my mind? What's going on, Stephanie, Terry? What is up? What is up, Robert? Patrick Kennedy in the house. What's up? What's up? Hope everybody's doing amazing. Did y'all have a good weekend? What's going on, Joe? Joe in the house. Randy in the house. Randy, off the jump. Arrest Biden for the treason. Arrest him for the treason. Oh, it's a coming. What's going on, Terry? What is up? What's going on, Catherine? Catherine in the house. Real Black Marsh Brotherhood. What's going on? GW in the house. What's up? What's up? All right. Hopefully everybody had a good weekend. Did y'all have a good weekend? My weekend was great. It was fantastic, by the way. Weekend was absolutely amazing. Weather out here in Vegas was gorgeous. Sunday was beautiful. I did nothing. Absolutely nothing. I was supposed to do laundry. I didn't do any of that. It's all good, though. It's all good. All right. Let's we got some stuff to talk about today. We got a little couple things to talk about today. And we're going to jump into it here. Where are we at? Let me make sure. Okay. So we got from firebombs to trophy fumbles. This is Monday in America. That's what the folks are saying. Hope you stocked up on popcorn and Pop-Tarts because this weekend's headlines are hotter than a Democrat's hard drive, a.k.a. Hillary Clinton. We got to start off in Pennsylvania, where somebody apparently took the phrase, burn it all down, a little too figuratively and literally, and firebombed Josh Shapiro's house, which is bananas to me. We've officially hit the stage of absolute left-wing lunacy, activisms, dubbing as peaceful protests. The peaceful protests include Molotov cocktails that seemingly get thrown into Tesla dealerships, as well as Josh Shapiro's place. Oh, and we can't forget about the GoFundMe accounts because, we don't want to be racist here. Authorities have ID'd the suspect in the Josh Shapiro situation. They said that he has a troubling presence online. Translation, he probably has pronouns in his bio and an Antifa mask in his glove box. Meanwhile, in New Mexico, another genius, this one targeted a Tesla dealership in the GOP state headquarters. He's now staring down the barrel of 40 years in prison. Pam Bodden's not playing around. She's not. The only thing she's playing around with is that Epstein list, but she's not playing around with this, guys. She's handing out federal charges like Oprah's handing out free cars. You get an indictment. You get an indictment. So we'll see what happens there. Let's move south to El Salvador. El Salvador, the El Salvadorian president, just torched Caitlin Collins on live TV after she asked if he'll let the MS-13 thug go. And his response was, that is a dumb question, lady. That's all he had to say there. Even Stephen Miller chimed in with a legal smackdown. He got a deportation order that he's not coming back. No hombre's coming back. And just like that, Caitlin Collins' credibility joined CNN's ratings at the bottom of the sea. Back home, Donald Trump tariffs are in full effect. America is now stockpiling faster than an episode of Doomsday Preppers. Toilet paper, gone. Canned beans, gone. Glamorous makeup, gone. Mark Cuban, he's still around. He's telling people to stock up now, which is rich coming from a billionaire who probably hasn't stepped foot in a Costco since Y2K. And if the shelves weren't empty enough, Ray Dalio, if you guys are familiar with Ray Dalio, is now warning about something worse than a recession. Buddy, listen, man, we already have TikTok, we already have inflation, and we already have Whoopi Goldberg on TV. How much worse could it get? Oh, and in case you thought the White House might offer some relief, Vice President JD Vance dropped the Ohio State Championship trophy. That's right. The second most important thing in America besides the Constitution. He fumbled it harder than Hunter Biden's fumble sobriety. Don't worry, though. He made a joke about it and came back pretty strong. Trump held it like a champ and reminded everybody in America who the real MVP is. And speaking of dropped balls, Michelle Obama is now deciding to choose herself among divorce rumors with baby Barack. I'm not confirming or denying anything she says. I'm choosing me. Translation, somebody's publicist is doing some damage control. We've got political gaslighting, media humiliation, economic panic, Obama doing some desperate PR. Welcome to Biden's America. Oh, wait. Sorry, Trump's America. And that's why the left is really freaking out. Oh boy, the left is freaking out. But before we do any of that, I thought I'd share this funny video real quick because I saw this before I jumped on the live and I was like, you guys are going to love this. You guys ready for this? I hope you guys are ready for this. Oh boy, you guys ready? Here we go.
They, them, energy. They, them, energy. They, them, energy. in charge of this outfit. This was a sweet and friendly reminder.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Y'all ain't ready. Y'all ain't ready for them energy. Them energy. Oh man. Oh man. Nothing beats a good liberal sing-along, right? A little two-step, a little hot dog, maybe some coffee, maybe a paid protest by Soros. Nothing beats that on a warm Saturday. The only thing missing is a nice lemonade. Oh boy. All right. Let's jump into this first story here. We got Josh Shapiro. Josh Shapiro. Now, I'm not an advocate for any violence, especially in this situation. You know, unless somebody directly affects you, like threatens your life, 100%. Threatens your life, threatens your family's life, 100%. But to do this just because you hate somebody for a particular reason or another, it's ridiculous. I don't care if you're left. I don't care if you're right. I don't care if you're center. To do this to somebody's home, somebody firebombed Josh Shapiro's home, and it's wild to me. It is absolutely wild to me. So Pennsylvania, suspect was arrested and identified in Josh Shapiro's home. Look at this. His home was in rubble. Josh Shapiro, or the suspect, was arrested this weekend in connection with the arson attack on Pennsylvania Democrat Governor Josh Shapiro. It's crazy. This guy literally was playing Call of Duty, Antifa edition here. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, best known for, we're still trying to figure that out. But this person just ended up firing up his place, literally with a Molotov cocktail, because apparently politics require flame retardant pajamas. Let's jump into this clip here with Josh Shapiro.
This morning, a man is charged in connection with an arson at the Pennsylvania governor's residence while Governor Shapiro and his family slept inside. Pennsylvania State Police said that Shapiro and his family were evacuated around 2 o'clock Sunday after the home was set on fire. No one was injured, but as you can see, the fire caused significant damage to the home.
We do know that this attack was targeted. We don't know the person's specific motive yet, but we do know a few truths. First, this type of violence is not okay.
It's not okay. It's absolutely not okay. And I agree 100% with Josh Shapiro here. The suspect's name, get this, his name is Cody Balmer. Quite fitting. The guy behind the flames is a 30-year-old named Cody Balmer, who was shockingly wasn't protesting carbon emissions, but instead he wanted to watch the governor's house burn.
Joining me now, CNN's Gene Casares. Wow, this is, Josh Shapiro. They were sleeping in the home. They had just celebrated Passover, and someone set their home on fire. What can you tell us?
Well, we've got the criminal complaint now, and in fact, we have got a lot of information. First of all, the charges. The top charge is attempted homicide.
Wow.
That this person tried to kill the people inside with these homemade incendiary devices. Next, aggravated arson. We also have burglary of a home. And then we have, as the fifth count, terrorism. Cody Balmer is the name of the suspect who has been arrested. He actually had a friend of his, a female, call police to tell them he wanted to turn himself in. He turned himself in. He was given his Miranda rights, but he started to talk. Here's what we know. He said that he walked about a mile to get to the house. And that's when he he jumped the fence, threw the first incendiary device into a room. Police tell us that was the piano room. And then it took off. And then he went to the second window he saw and threw a second incendiary device in. That would be the dining room. It took off. He said it was Heineken beer bottles that he had put gasoline in. He jumped through the second window. He was actually in the mansion at that point, and then finished his business and left. He was asked by police, did you believe that somebody was going to be asleep in the house at that time? He said, yeah, I knew that was a possibility. That's important.
Yeah.
State of mind, that goes to intent to want to kill who was ever in that home. He said he hated the governor. Now, motive is not in this description right here. He may have told them more, but they don't need motive. They need the elements. But here is what the governor had to say.
Before we jump into what the governor had to say, this is crazy because there were kids in this freaking house. There were kids in the house. He threw a homemade bomb into the governor's home compound. He had a sledgehammer and he was ready to bash somebody over the face with the sledgehammer. Authorities dug into Cody Bomber's digital footprint because obviously these guys never log off of anything. They never clear browser history or anything like that. They found what they're dubbing as troubling online presence, which, you know, for the FBI can be code for something spicy or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he was reading AOC's daily inspirational quotes against Elon Musk, but this is ridiculous.
The family was doing the night before.
I don't think anybody was hurt, but everything was burned down.
Hear me on this. We celebrated our faith last night proudly, and in a few hours, we will celebrate our second Seder of Passover again proudly. No one will deter me or my family or any Pennsylvanian from celebrating their faith openly and proudly.
So then the police also asked the defendant, what would you have done if the governor had confronted you in the mansion? He said, I would have taken my hammer and I would have started to hit him. And they found—
What? These people are wild. What is going on with these people? Steph writes, I don't care who it is. It's not okay for anyone on any side. I 100% agree with you. This is ridiculous. Nobody should be burning other people's places, personal property, or anything like that. The biggest situation on this is there were kids in the place. There were kids in the home. He threw a Molotov cocktail. He had a hammer ready to beat down somebody if Shapiro would have, went up to him. This isn't okay.
Found Sarah a sledgehammer at his home.
That is terrifying. Gene, I know you got this information just a few moments ago, and you really sort of broke down why terrorism is one of the charges there. I'm sure we will be learning more. Thank you so much for that. It was great.
I want to connect the dots with this because this is CNN, right? So they say terrorism, right, is one of the charges there. But yet they're all up in arms when it comes to terrorism, specifically pertaining to the personal property and destruction of Tesla vehicles. Pick one. Pick one.
CNN's Danny Freeman has more now from Philadelphia.
Let me jump into, this.
It was an extremely troubling and frightening night in Pennsylvania's capital after Governor Josh Shapiro's mansion, the governor's mansion residence, was set on fire intentionally, according to Pennsylvania State Police. The main headline that we learned Sunday afternoon is that there was a suspect taken into custody, 38-year-old Cody Bomber. He'll be charged with attempted murder, terrorism, aggravated arson, and aggravated assault. That's according to the Dauphin County District Attorney. But here's a little bit of a time.
To answer the question that somebody asked, nobody was injured there. Governor and his family were evacuated safely and not injured.
Dauphin County District Attorney. But here's a little bit of a timeline of the best that we understand as to how this all unfolded. On Saturday evening, Governor Josh Shapiro was holding a Passover Seder for the first night of the Jewish holiday of Passover. He was with his family. He had guests over at the governor's residence as well. They all then went to sleep. And then at some point in the middle of the night, just before 2 a.m., Pennsylvania State Police say this man, Bomber, jumped a fence at the governor's residence, evaded state troopers who at that time actually realized that there had been a breach. The man was then able to break into the residence, set fire to the residence, escaped then by jumping back over the fence. He had
That's wild. This is wild. I'm glad this gentleman's being charged here.
homemade incendiary devices on him, according to Pennsylvania State Police. Then at 2 a.m., Governor Shapiro said that he and his family and some of his guests who were staying over were woken up by bangs on the door because first responders were alerting him that part of the residence was on fire. Thankfully, that
So it must be a pretty big residence. I don't know the square footage of this residence, but it was so far away that he didn't even really know what was going on. But the fact that this psychopath threw a Molotov cocktail into somebody's home is crazy to me. Crazy. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section. Drop it down in the comment section, or if you're catching this on live, drop it in the chat. I'm going to jump into the chat here. What's going on, Catherine? All of his social medias seem to be obsessed with fire. Of course they were, right? Golly. Freak shows with fire. That's all we need. More loony freak shows with fire. Technically, the government mansion is a government building like the White House. Thank you, Terry. Appreciate that. Where was the security at his place? Who knows? Who knows? Good question, my mind. Who knows? It's a good thing they're charging Tesla folks with the same thing. What's going on, Airdrie? What's up, Vitas? Exactly. His digital footprint had a lot to say about fire. And not for nothing, but PA taxpayers will have to restore it. Yeah, they will. This is an extreme leftist socialist, and this is what they're creating. There's already some funky stuff going on in the brain. Screws are already loose. And then you got people on CNN and MS-DNC and these other platforms, AOC, calling for hate crimes and to take down Elon Musk, to take down Trump. And granted, you know, Shapiro once, if you guys aren't familiar with Josh Shapiro, you know, he was going to be in place of Tim Walz. They were looking at Josh Shapiro before they picked Tim Walz. I think Shapiro would have been a better, more articulate choice, but you know, they really wanted to nail down the alpha male vote, and they wanted to find somebody with strong alpha male qualities. So they got Tim Walz, Tampon Tim, you know, the most alpha male that you can think of. When you guys think of alpha male, you think of Tim Walz. You know what I'm saying? Nothing says more alpha than Tampon Tim. Yeah, these people are crazy. And so you got all this rhetoric coming from the news, and then this stuff happens, and their screws get more loose. You saw the kid who killed the other kid with a knife at the heart of the track meet. Yeah, he got out of jail today. He was charged with first-degree murder. How the hell did he get out of jail? Exactly. Originally, he had a bail of $1 million, and then the judge dropped it down to like $250,000, which is crazy to me. He should be in jail. That kid should be in jail. He should be in jail, 100%. If this story gets buried, I shall assume it will have another libtard arsonist. Oh, yeah. Yep. Patrick Kennedy, Tampon Tim, my hero. Nothing says alpha male like Tampon Tim. Right, guys? Tampon Tim. Shapiro would have been a better choice, but, you know, I think they just didn't pick him because the Jew situation here. But whatever. My personal opinion. Anyways. All right, guys. Let's jump into this next topic here. CNN says Caitlin Collins, our favorite, one of the best anchors on CNN, says, "Can you send back the gang members? Can you send back the bad hombres? We want the bad hombres back." El Salvadorian president slams CNN Caitlin Collins for her preposterous questions. She looks dazed and confused. CNN Caitlin Collins asked the president of El Salvador to help bring back the MS-13 gang member back into the United States. And the president responded like, what are you talking about, lady? Like, you want me to smuggle a warhead back in the United States? Caitlin Collins is known best for her tough hall monitor girl persona. And she asked the El Salvadorian president, hey, can you bring back the bad hombre? You know, the gangbanger that we deported? Can you get that final order back so we can bring him back? That's great, CNN. CNN is officially running customer service for violent criminals now. Let's jump into this clip.
Let's hear the question from this very low-rated anchor at CB.
Thank you, President. I plan to ask President Bukele to help return the man who your administration says was mistakenly deported. The man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador.
Well, let me ask Pam, would you answer that question?
Sure, President. First and foremost, he was illegally in our country. He had been illegally in our country. And in 2019, two courts, an immigration court and an appellate immigration court, ruled that he was a member of MS-13 and he was illegally in our country. Right now, it was additional paperwork had needed to be done. That's up to El Salvador if they want to return him. That's not up to us. The Supreme Court ruled, President, that if, as El Salvador wants to return him, this is international matters, foreign affairs. If they wanted to return him, we would facilitate it, meaning provide a plane.
So will you return him?
And you are doing a great job.
Thank you.
Wait a minute. Can you just also respond to that question? Because, you know, it's asked by CNN and they always ask it with a slant because they're totally slanted because they don't know what's happening. That's why nobody's watching them. But would you answer that question also, please?
Yes, gladly. So as Pam mentioned, there's an illegal alien from El Salvador. So with respect to you, he's a citizen of El Salvador. So it's very arrogant even for American media to suggest that we would even tell El Salvador how to handle their own citizens as a starting point. As two immigration courts found that he was a member of MS-13. When President Trump declared MS-13 to be a foreign terrorist organization, that meant that he was no longer eligible under federal law, which I'm sure you know, you're very familiar with the INA, that he was no longer eligible for any form of immigration relief in the United States. So we had a deportation order that was valid, which meant that under our law, he's not even allowed to be present in the United States and had to be returned because of the foreign terrorist designation. This issue was then, by a district court judge, completely inverted, and a district court judge tried to tell the administration that they had to kidnap a citizen of El Salvador and fly him back here. That issue was raised to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said the district court order was unlawful and its main components were reversed 9-0 unanimously, stating clearly that neither Secretary of State nor the president could be compelled by anybody to forcibly retrieve a citizen of El Salvador from El Salvador, who again is a member of MS-13, which, as I'm sure you understand, rapes little girls, murders women, murders children, is engaged in the most barbaric activities in the world. And I can promise you, if he was your neighbor, you would move right away.
Oh yeah, the MS-13 gang member. Is this the guy that we're talking about? The gang member, the gang banger, the guy that does stuff to little kids? Not exactly a model citizen here, you know? The guy finally removed. He was convicted in the United States in immigration court as an MS-13. Then he got booted, rightfully so. And now our famous hall monitor, tough girl hall monitor, Caitlin Collins, wants him back. Maybe she wants to house him. Maybe she thought the MS-13 gang member was a good-looking guy like Luigi. You know, hey, bring him back. I'll take care of him. I can fix him. That's what Caitlin Collins says. I can fix him.
So you don't plan
But
to
the
ask for
Supreme
any
Court
help
is
to get
asking
him back? Is
And
that?
what was the ruling
that-
in the Supreme Court, Steve? Was it 9-0?
Yes, it was a 9-0
In our favor.
in our favor against the district court ruling, saying that no district court has the power to compel the foreign policy function of the United States. As Pam said, the ruling solely stated that if this individual at El Salvador's sole discretion was sent back to our country, that we could deport him a second time.
Well,
No version of this legally ends up with him ever living here because he is a citizen of El Salvador. That is the president of El Salvador. Your questions about it per the court can only be directed to him.
I asked
¿Usted lo
President
liberaría,
Bukele, what is
Presidente
your, can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm supposed to not suggesting that I smuggle terrorists into the United States, right?
It's
I mean,
always
how can I return him to the United States? Like, I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, I mean, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
So you can release him inside El Salvador.
Yeah, but I'm not releasing. I mean, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. I mean, we just turned the murder capital of the world into the safest country of the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world? No, that's not going to happen.
Well, they'd love to have a criminal, released into our
I mean, there's a fascination.
They would love it.
Yeah.
They're sick. These are sick people. Marco, do you have something to say about
Yeah, I mean, Stephen outlined it. I don't understand what the confusion is. This individual is a citizen of El Salvador. He was illegally in the United States and was returned to his country. That's where you deport people, back to their country of origin, except for Venezuela that wasn't refusing to take people back, or places like that. I can tell you this, Mr. President. No, the foreign policy of the United States is conducted by the President of the United States, not by a court. And no court in the United States has a right to conduct the foreign policy of the United States. It's that simple. End of story.
And that's what the Supreme Court held, by the way, to Marco's point. The Supreme Court said exactly what Marco said, that no court has the authority to compel the foreign policy function of the United States. We won a case 9-0, and people like CNN are portraying it as a loss, as usual, because they want foreign terrorists in the country who kidnap women and children. But President Trump, his policy is foreign terrorists that are here illegally get expelled from the country, which, by the way, is a 90-10 issue.
They are smacking CNN. They are smacking them up. The El Salvadorian president was like, this is a preposterous question. Of course, I'm not going to bring him back. Pam Bondi responds to everyone. The guy was here illegally. Multiple courts said he was an MS-13 member. He got deported the legal way. He came in illegally. He got deported the legal way. Stephen Miller even said it further. He said he's an El Salvadorian citizen. He's an El Salvadorian citizen. He was here illegally. Deport him. He's back where he came from. What else do you want?
Mr. President, you said that if the Supreme Court said someone needed to be returned, that you would abide by that. You said that on Air Force One just a few days ago, and they said that it must be facilitated.
Why don't you just say, isn't it wonderful that we're keeping criminals out of our country? Why can't you just say that? Why do you go over and over? And that's why nobody watches you anymore. You have no credibility. Please go ahead.
President Trump, thank you very much.
You have no credibility. This is what Donald Trump says. This is why your ratings are in the toilet. Let's be honest. Caitlin Collins isn't a journalist. She's a performing arts student that wants to be a journalist, that's looking for answers and fishing for gotcha clips for her TikTok. She got smoked by Pam Bondi. She got smoked by the El Salvadorian president, Donald Trump, Marco Rubio. Just adds to the list. Get out of here. Here's what I have to say to Miss Collins here. Here we go.
Everyone does it. Now you can do it too. Shut the fuck up. Shut your mouth. Shut up. Shut the hole in your face. Like that. You can do it. Shh. Shut up. And shut the fuck
up. That's all she needs to do, and I think the ratings will be fantastic. Let's jump into this clip with Stephen Miller talking about this same topic. He talks about the delusional lies that the media is portraying regarding the MS-13 returned person here.
Number one, DOJ said a federal court cannot compel the executive branch to engage in any mandated act of diplomacy or incursion upon the sovereignty of another nation. So your argument is that you don't have to bring him back home, but will you?
So I want to correct, I hate to do it, Bill, but I got to correct you on every single thing that you said because it was all wrong. First, we won the Supreme Court case. Clearly, 9-0. A district court judge said unconscionably that the president and his administration have to go into El Salvador and extradite one of their citizens, an El Salvadorian citizen, so that would be kidnapping, that we have to kidnap an El Salvadorian citizen against the will of his government and fly him back to America, which would be an unimaginable act and an invasion of El Salvador's sovereignty. So we appealed to the Supreme Court, and it said clearly, no district court can compel the president to exercise his Article 2 foreign powers in any way whatsoever. DOJ called me after that Supreme Court ruling, and they said, this is amazing. We won this case 9-0. We are in excellent standing here. So this has been portrayed wrong for 72 hours in the media. They said the most a court could ever compel you to do would be to facilitate return, which would basically mean if El Salvador voluntarily sends him back, we wouldn't block him at the airport. We would put him back into ICE detention, and then he would be deported either back to El Salvador or somewhere else. The Supreme Court said that is the most the government can be expected to do. So we won the case handily. The misreporting on this has been atrocious.
Okay,
Secondly,
I appreciate
he was
the
not, no, Bill, it's important. He was not mistakenly sent to El Salvador.
Okay, so do you still
He's an
believe
illegal
he is a
alien
member of
from
MS?
El Salvador. Hold on, this is important. In 2019, he was ordered deported. He has a final removal order from the United States. These are things that no one disputes. Where is he from? El Salvador. Where is he a resident and citizen of? El Salvador. Is he here illegally? Yes. Does he have a deportation order? Yes. A DOJ lawyer who has since been relieved of duty, a saboteur, a Democrat, put into a filing incorrectly that this was a mistaken removal. It was not. This was the right person sent to the right place. Now, some have said, well, but he had a thing called a withholding order. So a withholding order means you've been ordered deported, but an immigration judge is saying you cannot go back to a particular country. Here's the thing. If you are a member of a foreign terrorist organization, you cannot have a withholding order. Since he's in MS-13, there is no withholding order.
You just
Get him. Get him.
Furthermore, the gang that he is accused of being persecuted by doesn't exist anymore in El Salvador. The 18th Street gang is gone. So you have an illegal alien from El Salvador. Bill, where are we supposed to send the illegal alien from El Salvador?
You haven't even
to
allowed
what
me
country?
to ask you a question. Are you convinced he is still a member of MS-13? That was your original charge.
Yes. But here's the thing, Bill. Yes, but here, not only am I convinced of it, not only is El Salvador convinced of it, Bill, he's an illegal alien from El Salvador with the deportation order.
That's it. Get them out. Get the hombres out. Get the hombres out. Let me know what you guys think about this. Drop it in the chat. Drop it in the comment section down below. I'm going to jump into the comments right now. Rob has me laughing inside about this one. Rob said, every time I see tampons at the store, I think of Tim Walz. You know what that deserves, man? That deserves a sad violin. What's going on, Kayla? Trump is absolutely hilarious. What's going on, Jenny? No, it doesn't mean providing a plane through Bondi. Yeah, exactly. She's going to be a good runner for Hack Madness next year. Deport Trende Aragua and MS-13 gangs. They are bad hombres. They are bad hombres. Stephanie writes, watching this 100% teamwork and dream work. The guy joking her like, you wanted to see me smuggle a criminal? Yeah, right? You want me to smuggle a criminal back in the United States? What am I, James Bond? He's dressed like James Bond, though. Looks very sharp. Caitlin Collins wants to have his babies. Apparently, this MS-13 gang member likes blondes, Caitlin. You know, you're a brunette. It's pretty close. He likes white chicks. All good. Mockingbird propaganda media wanted him back. They've never fought so hard for a law-abiding American. Pfft, ain't that the truth? Airdrie, when Collins was on Blaze TV, she sang a different tune. Yeah, she's a flip-flopper. Secondhand embarrassment for having her as a reporter in the White House, asking the president this crap. You can't make this up. There's another clip here that I want to show you guys real quick. So let me see. Here it is right here. Hold on. So this clip right here, Caitlin goes and tries to ask him another question here. Listen to this. Let me share it. Hold on. I wasn't sharing it.
Question?
On tariffs,
No, not you.
Not you again. Not you again. Get out of here, Caitlin. Get out of here. It's ridiculous. She's just trying to get gotcha questions. That's all she's trying to get. CNN is such a bunch of crap. Yeah, they are. They are. Criminal News Network. Shout out to Patrick Kennedy. Patrick Kennedy for the gifted membership. Shout out to Patrick Kennedy for that. Appreciate you. Shout out for the 5 gifted memberships on Patrick Kennedy. Give a shout out to Patrick Kennedy. I'm just catching up on the super chat. Sorry about that, guys. No violins. It was funny. All right, let's jump into this. All right, we got tariff news. Donald Trump says he's going to increase the tariffs. More tariff news coming down the pipe. Trump's tariffs take effect and the consumers are panicking, specifically folks that buy stuff that they don't actually necessarily need. They're all upset because they're like, oh my gosh, the prices for these goods that I don't actually necessarily need are going up. What are we going to do? What are we going to do?
This morning, some Americans are playing a game of chicken with prices.
If you got an Amazon order waiting in your cart, just go ahead and buy it.
Wait too long, those shoes you've been eyeing could get 18% more expensive. And that sweater you had in your cart, 17% pricier. And with 104% tariffs hitting China overnight, smartphone prices could also soar, with one estimate predicting an iPhone 16 Pro Max, already $1,200, could jump by another $350.
Listen, it don't matter. Do you need the newest iPhone? Do you need the newest iPhone? You don't right now. You don't. They already talked about doing some situation with electronic tariffs, but let's continue with this video.
I first thought about it, I had that initial wave of panic.
Marissa Hibbert stocked up on cosmetics, many made abroad.
Tell me about what you bought ahead of the tariffs taking effect.
I really decided to make the deliberate decision to stock up on what is most meaningful to my day-to-day life. So that means facial cleanser, skincare, moisturizers, sunscreen, all the things that we need before we walk out the house in the beginning of the day.
I was looking to stock up on things that are most valuable to me.
Before we walk out the house in the beginning of my day-to-day life. So that means facial cleanser, skincare, moisturizers, sunscreen, all the things that we need before we walk out the house in the beginning.
Sunscreen? Sunscreen ain't going up. Sunscreen ain't going up. Sunscreen ain't getting tariffed. What are you talking about? Face cream. What kind of face cream you buying? Oh yeah, I get this face cream made from the calluses of Chinese children's sweatshop workers. It does help with my pores.
Beginning of the day.
Because it could get more expensive.
Because it absolutely could get more expensive.
Americans are hitting the store for basic necessities too.
Take a trip to Costco. Get some emergency supplies. Stock up on some things.
Even billionaires like Mark Cuban say it's time to buy necessities from toothpaste to soap. bringing back memories of the toilet paper stashing during the pandemic.
I need to understand why.
Stocking up before tariff-driven prices isn't a bad idea, especially for products like coffee and rice, which are largely not made in the U.S. But experts warn, keep your cool. Try to buy only what you need for groceries.
I think wow, that was the first thing that I heard MSDNC say that I agree. Stock up on the things that you need. You don't need the new iPhone. You don't need it. Stephanie writes, put it in the save later bin. It's all good. We'll let you know when the tariffs drop, when prices drop again. Then you can get it. Do we really need more stuff? Americans are the biggest consumers of bull crap. This is why storage units are so big. Everybody has a storage unit full of crap that they don't even use. They haven't even visited the storage unit in 6 months. The value and the amount of value that's in the storage unit versus the amount of money that you paid for the storage unit over the 6 years you had it, it doesn't weigh itself. Get rid of the storage unit. Get rid of the stuff.
The thing to try to avoid is sort of panic buying and sweeping down the aisle and just putting in everything, whether you need it or not.
Apart from essentials like clothing, groceries, any other bigger splurges we should be thinking about making here?
Yeah, well, look, with those 104% tariffs specifically on China for things like electronics, if you see a good deal, it might not be the worst to buy now. And that includes phones. Some carriers are having deals. They might not be tied necessarily to the tariffs, but it could offer you some savings if that phone's going to last you for a few years. Toys, I know people don't want to start thinking about holiday shopping right now, but it could get more expensive if you wait all the way.
Toys? I get it. You know, some of us have kids in the chat. I don't have any kids. But toys, honestly, I've seen kids be happier with the box that the toys came in than the actual toy itself. They have more fun with the box than the actual toy. Electronics, we don't need any more electronics. Walk into somebody's house and everything's made in China. They got fake plants everywhere. They got electronics everywhere. Everything's made in China. Somebody in the chat, I don't remember who it was because it was a while ago, but they said, go to the thrift store. Thrift store. They got good deals. I'm a fan of the thrift store. I like the thrift store. These people are pushing consumer mentality, telling you to log up on new televisions and new phones and toys for what? Stick with the essentials. You'll be fine.
Way until November. So maybe if you get.
Let's jump into this other clip because I'm done with these guys here. I'm going to jump into the chat here in a minute. Let's see. Oh, this is what Donald Trump had to say about this gaggle at Air Force One. Actually, let me jump into the chat because I don't want this to get too far behind here. Paula says, TP again. Yeah. You guys remember that? You guys remember during the pandemic, everybody was buying carts and carts of toilet paper. What did you need all that toilet paper for? Did you have crazy diarrhea during the pandemic for months and months and months? If it gets that bad, I'm sure you got a sock drawer. People use water in the Philippines, in Mexico. During the pandemic, I actually bought it's called a bum gun. It sprays water. It connects to the toilet. Just spray water, tap it dry. That's way better than toilet paper. None of these retards know what basic necessities are. Yeah, exactly. I believe it was you, Patrick Kennedy, that said that this woman seems high maintenance. Stephanie asks, what type of SPF are you buying? Yep. I bought a designer labeled purse at the thrift store this week. Kudos. Tag still on it. Kudos, Terry. That is a big come up. I love that. By 70 other countries. Yep. Y2K again. These people are freaking out. Fun fact, Steph writes, I used to host auctions for storage units here before the company sold. That was fun. I love that. U.S. doesn't have rice? WTF. Then why does every East Asian country tariff rice from the United States? Half of today's kids don't play with toys anymore. Yep. And that's the sad thing, Terry. They don't play with toys anymore. They don't play outside. I remember when I was a kid, I used to go outside all the time. My mom used to say, I don't know if your parents used to say this, but come back when the street lights are on, or when I yell for you, come home. It's dinner time, or be home at 6 or whatever. When I was little. I come home when the street lights are on, eat supper, and then go back outside and play basketball, play Hot Wheels in the dirt. These were all things. They don't do it anymore. Patrick Kennedy writes, toys, learn to make wood blocks. I had tons of fun with those at my house. Yep. Make your own stuff. Exactly. Terry writes, my nephew went crazy over a $2 wind-up rubber band airplane more than expensive gifts. That's the truth. The kids love the boxes. They love the stuff that it comes in. They're talking a lot about toys and phones. Don't nobody need that mess. Yes. Yes. All right, let's jump into this gaggle on Air Force One with keep your gun away from my bum. It came in useful when the pandemic and there was no toilet paper. You just spray and go.
Hello, everybody. How you doing, sir? So I think most of you have seen they released my physical. I did the physical on Friday, and I understand it was a very good report. The numbers were perfect, and I took a cognitive exam, and I would challenge anybody here to meet those marks because I have a perfect mark. Were you impressed by that?
I am impressed, and I'm not going to take that test.
But you're not that surprised, right?
I'm not surprised at all.
You aren't. It's good. I have a lot of respect for you as a reporter. Did you have any questions? Yes, sir.
Could you give us
You always have questions.
I always have a question. What is your message to markets tomorrow? There's some ambiguity, or at least some questions about whether there were exceptions or exemptions.
There shouldn't be ambiguity. We have a tremendous country. We have a country that's much richer today than it was a few months ago. We have a financial system that's very respected, and we're going to do great. And we were taken advantage of and ripped off by every country all over the world, almost, just about. They laughed at us. We were run by foolish people, and they took advantage of our country, and we're just not going to let that happen anymore.
In terms of the big, beautiful bill,
right?
When do you expect that to get done?
Well, I hope soon. The big, beautiful bill. It's the big, beautiful tax cuts, really, and regulation cuts and many other things. It passed its first test, as you know, the last couple of weeks, but particularly during last week, where we had a vote. We won in the House, we won in the Senate, and that was a big chunk of it. And now they're going to eventually take, pretty soon, a final vote. And the big, beautiful tax cuts and regulation cuts and all of the other things that are included in there will go into effect. And I think it'll be probably the largest tax cuts in the history of our country, the most comprehensive regulation cuts in the history of our country, and many, many other things, including border wall money. We built 571 miles of wall, but now we can add to it. As you know, we've just concluded a period of time where the border was the most secure it's been in the history of our country. We're very proud of that. And the other week, a couple of weeks ago, or last week actually, 5 people came in, 5. And under Biden, it was 500,000 people came in.
That's a stark number. That is a stark number. He was talking about immigration. Mind you, he he did this gaggle on Air Force One. It was like 2 a.m., 1:30 a.m., 2 a.m. Dude's in a suit. Looks great. I think he just got out of the I think he was heading back to Washington. This wasn't after the UFC event, but yeah.
What they've done to our country should never be forgotten. Never be forgotten. What they've done, and that the news hasn't reported it correctly, is a disgrace. But what they've done to our country to allow these millions and millions of people in from prisons and mental institutions and sane asylums should never be forgotten. Because we're going to be living with that for a long time. This is tremendous work, tremendous effort. It's one thing, they cause massive inflation, they cause a lot of problems. But what they've done to our border and to our country, you should never forget that. And you should never, as journalists, allow people to forget it. Yeah.
President, can you talk a little bit about the semiconductor tariff that you posted on Truth Social today? What is the timeline for that? And I believe it was Jameson Greer said today that those will not be negotiable. Once those tariffs are in place, they're not negotiable. Is that right?
But the tariffs will be in place in the not distant future because, as you know, like we did with steel, like we did with automobiles, like we did with aluminum, which are now fully on, we'll be doing that with semiconductors, with chips, and numerous other things. And that'll take place in the very near future.
And all the things.
And what we did is we want to uncomplicate it from a lot of companies because that's really where it should be, ideally. And we wanted to uncomplicate it from a lot of other companies because we want to make our chips and semiconductors and other things in our country. And I will tell you, another one is pharmaceuticals, drugs and pharmaceuticals. We want to make our drugs in this country.
Great.
And by placing a tariff on the companies that are not in this country, they're going to move into our country and we're going to have our drugs made in the United States so that in case of war, in case of whatever, we're not relying on China and various other countries to supply us with drugs, which is not a good idea.
That's one of the biggest factors too, just so people that are unfamiliar with the process, you know, imagine if something were to happen. We don't manufacture anything here anymore. And imagine if something were to happen. We don't manufacture pharmaceuticals. We don't manufacture really anything here anymore. And we're so reliant on these other countries that if something like a war were to occur, we would be SOL. 100%. Joe Biden never, ever said, do you have any other questions? Nor did he answer any questions coherently. Yes. Yes.
And it'll happen very fast. It'll all happen very fast.
Do you know what rate the semiconductor tariff?
I'm going to be announcing it over the next week.
Can you confirm reports that the Social Security Administration has classified thousands of immigrants as dead, even though they're still living?
That's what I hear. I mean, that's what has been reported to me. Dead and also very inaccurately. And from the standpoint of Social Security, it's a horrible thing. From the standpoint of the strength of Social Security, when you take dead people out and all of the people that they're talking about that should not be in there, it's going to make our system much stronger. We're making Social Security stronger. The Democrats are destroying Social Security.
Yes.
Medicare and Medicaid also, yes.
Do you have a reaction to Russia's Palm Sunday attack?
I think it was terrible, and I was told they made a mistake. But I think it's a horrible thing. I think the whole war is a horrible thing. I think the war is, for that war to have started, is an abuse of power. This country would have never allowed that war to have started if I were president. That war is a shame. Millions of people are dead that should be alive. Cities are being destroyed all over Ukraine. The whole culture is gone. It's certainly very severely hurt. You know,
I'll place a link for this full video in the description down below. I just wanted to highlight some of his talks about the tariffs and his upcoming predictions regarding the economy here. I'm going to jump into the comment section here. Patrick Kennedy says, we don't have to imagine it. We lived through C-19. Exactly. We didn't manufacture anything. We had to figure out where to get N95 masks from. People were outsourcing masks and all this other crap. We weren't self-sufficient. At the end of the day, we want to reduce the amount of spending, ridiculous spending, waste, fraud, and abuse that we have to allow for better and more quality programs to be out there. Democrats have been pocketing the money in these NGOs forever. Not to mention, if they are poisoning us with fentanyl and C19, how could we be sure that they are not putting bad things in meds, especially our lax? 10,000 chemicals. Exactly, Catherine. LJ writes, so what? It's to stop them from taking our money. Yep. Dry He writes, maybe Trump drinks Morning Kick by Chuck Norris. I'm sure he does. Chuck Norris looks great, by the way. Chuck Norris, how old is Chuck Norris? 78 years old? That dude is still kicking planets into different galaxies. Works for me. Oh, that's good to know. Actually, my mom and my grandma were interested in it. I said, I don't know anything about it, but Chuck Norris looks good, and if he's taking it, it's probably good. The guy's doing something right. He's so right. When I worked as a chemist, we got raw materials mostly from China. When China got mad because we wouldn't let them steal our intellectual property, they would shut down supply. And that's China's business model, to steal intellectual property, create their own product, and sell it for cheaper. You think your patents are safe? They're safe here in the United States, but you send it over to China and it's full game for there. It's full game for them. So while Donald Trump was talking about tariffs on the Air Force One, Bernie Sanders was out here at Coachella riling up all the libs. Our man Bernie.
130 countries have responded, and we're negotiating with them.
So this is unfolding exactly like we thought it would, knowing full well that a lot of countries would come right to us and want a bargain. We've got 90 deals in 90 days, possibly pending here.
The way Trump is executing his plan is under attack by his political opponents.
Investors will not invest in the United States when Donald Trump is playing red light, green light with tariffs.
Senator Bernie Sanders!
And Trump was mocked by Bernie Sanders when the senator made a surprise appearance at the Coachella Music Festival.
Now we got a president of the United States who... I agree.
But contrast this moment with another from the...
It's funny because you know what they're going to say? Bernie Sanders put on an excellent rally. He gathered 50,000 plus people. Dude, it was Coachella and you just happened to show up. You just happened to show up. 90% of the people at Coachella are financing their ticket on their credit card. Good play, Bernie Sanders. Good play.
Same night. Trump arriving to huge applause and a standing ovation by thousands at Saturday's UFC fight. Animated crowds at these very different events, highlighting the divisions in this country.
Donald Trump.
That's the biggest thing at the end of the day, is obviously to stop the division. But we can't, this is Bernie Sanders and AOC talking about stopping the oligarchy, the billionaires. Have they looked into their own party? They have more billionaires in their party than the Republicans do. Come on. LJ writes, he's a multimillionaire with 3 mansions. He's complaining about the oligarchy. Oligarchy. Yep. Dems need to be fully exposed for what they are. And they are. They're getting there. It's all coming out. It is all coming out. Z, I don't know if Jason's in the chat, but Jason actually met Donald Trump a few years back when he was little, and then met him again at the Butler rally. Yeah. Dry heat. I heard a lot about that. The jab gave my wife cancer. Mm-hmm. Mandated her to. Mm-hmm. I heard about that. Terry too. Terry met Trump too. Oh yeah. Anyways. All right, be sure to smash the like button. We are jumping into this firebomb situation. More Tesla stuff. More Tesla stuff. AG Pam Bondi will seek a 40-year prison sentence for domestic terrorists who firebomb Tesla dealership and GOP New Mexico headquarters. The reason why I wanted to bring this up is because this gentleman's mugshot, or this gentleman's profile photo.
This weekend, both the FBI and the ATF were tight-lipped about the raid of a home on Albuquerque's west side. But today, the federal documents were unsealed in that case, spelling out why they have charged 40-year-old Jamison Wagner with setting fire to a Tesla dealership and the state Republican Party headquarters. Early Saturday morning, dozens of FBI and ATF agents descended on this northwest Albuquerque home near McMahon and Unser. They arrested 40-year-old Jamison Wagner and collected evidence.
There you have it, guys. Carl Wagner. Carl Wagner right there with the purple lipstick. Fits the MO of the liberal association that vandalizes Teslas. Receding hairline and all.
They say connects Wagner to two high-profile arsons.
This is a joint operation between us and ATF, and obviously always working with our state and local partners because we're here in Albuquerque. And it's a law enforcement action. That's all I can really say.
It all started February 9th at the Tesla dealership on the Santa Ana Pueblo. The FBI says this image shows Jamison Wagner carrying a white box. Another image shows his face. The FBI says Wagner damaged the Tesla showroom and graffitied the outside with the words Tesla Nazi Inc. and Die Tesla spelled with a swastika. The FBI says Wagner firebombed a Tesla. Inside a second car, they found homemade napalm in a jar with an I or an H scrawled on the lid. Weeks later, Attorney General Pam Bondi had a warning for people targeting Teslas and their dealerships.
I've made it clear, if you take part in the wave of domestic terrorism against Tesla properties, we will find you, arrest you, and put you behind bars.
In the early morning hours of March 30th, the FBI says Wagner turned his attention to the New Mexico Republican Party headquarters in Albuquerque. They say he set fire to the entrance of the building and left this graffiti on the building equating ICE with the KKK. Investigators recovered parts of 2 glass jars and lids with the letter I or H scrawled on the tops, identical to the jar lid at the Tesla dealership. They also captured this video of a white Hyundai Accent leaving the scene.
Why do they all drive Hyundais? Why they all drive Hyundais? They must have all got together on their social media platform on Liberals Against Tesla Facebook page. Said, guys, we got to get the Hyundai Sonata, Hyundai Accent. Nothing against Hyundais, but this guy's wild.
During Saturday's raid of Wagner's home, agents found his white Hyundai Accent. They also found items linking him to the crimes, including a white cardboard box containing incendiary devices and this stencil matching graffiti on the Republican Party headquarters.
Bro, these guys are idiots. They don't watch true crime or anything like that. They just keep all the evidence on their person. They keep it in their apartment. They keep it in their car. This guy kept the stencil. He was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get him again. I'm going to get him again with my stencil. What a loser.
All of these are a serious threat to public safety. Therefore, there will be no negotiating. We are seeking 20 years in prison.
Jamison Wagner is federally charged with 2 counts of arson. Those charges carry between 5 and 20 years in prison. But as you heard from the Attorney General, the feds will likely be seeking the maximum.
He should be charged for putting on makeup incorrectly as well. All evidence, including purple lipstick, found on his person in his JanSport backpack. These guys are loony. Absolutely loony. I'm going to jump into the comment section. Be sure to smash the like button, share, subscribe. What the hell is wrong with these people? We seriously need long-term mental health institutions again. I can't get over how this gentleman looks. If you're going to be the Joker, go all the way. That's what Patrick Kennedy writes, right? And they pick, I think it was Terry that wrote something about the outfit. But if you're going to do something, get rid of the evidence. I'm not saying that I'm a criminal by any means, but get rid of the evidence. Hide your license plate, maybe not drive the same daily vehicle. Oh yeah, but that's right. They don't really have common sense, right? They're like, nobody's going to catch me. I'm going to keep the stencil in my garage next to the purple lipstick and my N95 COVID mask. He's a DEI guy. Yeah. DIY guy, excuse me. 20 years is not enough. Act blue lipstick. That's a merch drop, guys. I'm gonna drop some Act blue lipstick. Why do they all look like that? Yep. Purple lipstick should be a crime in itself. Oh man. All right, be sure to smash the like button. We are jumping into JD Vance fumbles the national championship trophy. Come on, JD, man. Come on, JD. Vice President JD Vance had the butterfingers. JD Vance fumbles Ohio State national trophy. Jokes about it. This this is going to be a meme right here. JD Vance just dropping the trophy. Where's the clip? Here it is. Oh man, JD. You can't bat 100 all the time, right? You can't bat 100 all the time. Why is it so cheap? Yeah, it's probably made in China. Oh, man. One yanks, the other fumbles. The left hasn't had common sense since George Washington was president. Yeah, this was funny. I just thought I'd share it with you guys. I know it's just a little side thing here, but he dropped it. China. It was made in China. All right, let's jump into this. Billionaire investor Ray Dalio. How many of you guys are familiar with Ray Dalio? Ray Dalio, smart guy, wrote several books, knows about economic strategy and understands economic history. He sat down with our favorite quote unquote journalist, shoulder pads, Kristen Welker. Billionaire investor Ray Dalio is worried about something worse. And let's jump into this. And I want you guys to pay attention to the way that shoulder pads asks questions. I haven't watched this entire thing yet.
Fund, Bridgewater Associates. He is also the author of the new book, How Countries Go Broke. It's out in June. Mr. Dalio, welcome to Meet the Press.
Thank you. Good to be here. Just call me Ray.
Okay. Well, Ray, I'll take you up on that. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate your perspective. As I just said, you did found the world's largest hedge fund. You have been in this field for more than 50 years. It's worth pointing out to our viewers, I think it's important to note you consider yourself to be apolitical, and you say that the tariff problem is a symptom of a much greater problem. What do you mean by that?
There's a financial problem. There's an imbalance problem. There are basically 5 big forces through history that drive everything. First, there's the money, credit, debt, economic cycle in which there's a building up of debt in a cyclical way that becomes too large, and we're going to have problems. We're going to have a government debt problem. Maybe we can get into this. The second big force through time is the internal conflict force, the left and the right, differences in wealth and values causing a conflict that we're seeing it changing our political order. So the first is changing our monetary order. The second is changing our political order internally. And then the third is the great world order, how countries deal with each other. When there's a rising power, challenging the existing power. And now we are going from multilateralism, which is largely an American world order type of thing, to a unilateral world order in which there's great conflict. And the other 2 factors all through history have been acts of nature, droughts, floods, and pandemics. And number 4 is technology changing. And how they are coming together are the main forces behind this. For example, there can't be imbalances anymore in that environment.
Do you think that President Trump's tariffs are exacerbating what you are describing, this complicated mix of challenges that the world is facing?
I think it's just a function of how
she hits him with these gotcha kind of questions, phrases it in a way. Do you think Donald Trump's tariffs, they're tariffs in general, right? And he talks about this balance here. Let's jump back into this video.
How they're handled. You know, it's a reality that it's a desire to bring in tax revenue from that. It's a reality that we would like to build manufacturing and jobs here. This is a reality. That's how that's done, whether that's done in a practical way, whether that's done in a stable way, whether that's done with quality negotiations in which that's a mutual problem, or whether that's done in a chaotic and disruptive way that produces great conflict, makes all the difference in the world.
Based on what you're seeing right now, do you think that these tariffs are being carried out in a practical way or a chaotic way?
I think we'll see. So far, very disruptive. Right? And so we don't know what the numbers are. But that could be part of a process, right? It depends where we are at the end of the 90 days. Because what was put there is like throwing rocks into the production system. And those impacts would be enormous in terms of the efficiency of the whole world, great cost.
I want to ask you about something that's on a lot of people's minds, your predictions for the future. And I want to start with the R word. I know you think this is just a piece of it. Of course, I'm talking about a recession. Do you think it is likely that the United States will dip into a recession because of President Trump's tariffs?
You see how she rolled that in there? Do you think the U.S. economy is going to roll into the recession because of Donald Trump's tariffs?
I think that right now we are at a decision-making point and very close to a recession. And I'm worried about something worse than a recession if this isn't handled well. A recession is 2 negative quarters of GDP, and whether it goes slightly there, we always have those things.
And remember, they changed the term recession. They changed what it means and how it works during the Biden administration.
We have something that's much more profound. We have a breaking down of the monetary order. We are going to change the monetary order because we cannot spend the amounts of money. So we have that problem. And when we talk about the dollar and we talk about tariffs, we have that. We are having profound changes in our domestic order, how ruling is existing. And we're having profound changes in the world order. Such times are very much like the 1930s. I've studied history, and this repeats over and over again. So if you take tariffs, if you take debt, if you take the rising power challenging the existing power, if you take those factors and look at the factors, those changes in the orders, the systems, are very, very disruptive. How that's handled could produce something that is much worse than a recession, or it could be handled well. Let's take the debt situation.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, very quickly, because I want to be very specific about what you mean. You're saying worse than recession?
I don't appreciate how she cuts him off, because he was about to go into debt. He was about to talk about the debt. The United States has a bunch of debt, a lot of it due to waste, fraud, and abuse. And if we get rid of the debt, if you look at it just like a business, and I've mentioned this on a series of videos, if you mention it as a business, if your business isn't producing any revenue and you're spending more than what you earn, your business isn't necessarily, it's not profitable, not necessarily profitable. It's not profitable at all. You know, in this instance, the United States, is the business. We had the ability to just print more money and artificially stabilize the economy, although the debt was so high.
You're saying this is reminiscent of the 1930s. We should tell our viewers you correctly predicted the 2008 financial crisis. What is your prediction for where the country is headed right now?
Right now, we're at a juncture. Let's take the budget. If the budget deficit can be reduced to 3% of GDP, it will be about 7% if things are not changed. If it could be reduced to about 3% of GDP, and these trade deficits and so on are managed in the right way, this could all be managed very well. I believe that members of Congress should take the pledge, what I call the 3% pledge, that in one way or another, that they will get that budget deficit down to that number. If they don't, we're going to have a supply-demand problem for debt at the same time as we have these other problems. And the results of that will be worse than a normal recession.
So, and just to follow up on that point, worse than a recession, you're talking about the 1930s. What specifically are you warning of? Are you saying that it could be as bad as a depression? What's your biggest fear?
The value of money. What is a storehold of wealth? That is a bond. In other words, one man's debt is another man's assets, bond holders. And so we're going to be in a situation where if that storehold of wealth is in jeopardy because there's too much supply and demand and so on, and we have a monetary inflation, we will have great disruptions. And that could be like the breakdown of the monetary system in 71. It could be like 2008. It's going to be very severe. I think it could be more severe than those if these other matters simultaneously occur. Imagine if we have a downturn politically and an international conflict.
What's worst case scenario that you're warning of? To be very specific, to be very
specific, the value of money, internal conflict that is not the normal democracy as we know it, and international conflict in a way that is highly disruptive to the world economy and could even be a military conflict, just as these breakdowns have occurred before. You know, we have a new order that began in 1945, a new monetary order and a new geopolitical order. And these go in cycles that can be measured. And I worry about the breakdown of that kind of an order, particularly since it doesn't need to happen, because there are certain things that could be done in which this is better, a better restructuring of these debts and actions taken.
So that takes me to my next question. You have this book, How Countries Go Broke, the big...
Okay, so a couple things here. A, I don't like how Kristen Welker, looks for sound bites, because she's looking for sound bites. She's looking for sound bites to blame any type of economic turmoil on the current administration. That's number one. Number two, Ray Dalio talks about the debt, which I mentioned here a little bit ago. We got to get rid of the debt. We got to figure out how to get rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse, bring back American manufacturing back into the United States. Yes. Is it going to take time to bring back American manufacturing back into the United States? Is it going to take time for these things to kind of evolve? Yes. But over the long haul, Catherine points this out in the chat, in the long haul, this is going to be better and create more stability for the United States of America and to become self-sufficient, or predominantly self-sufficient, at least my personal opinion. And to go on somebody else's point in the chat, which I'll jump into here in a minute, disruption isn't always a bad thing. We've been doing what we've been doing for so long, and it is not working. We're just tracking more debt. Imagine this. Imagine, you run through your personal budget, and you make X amount of dollars a year, and you're still spending. You're spending twice, 3 times as much as what you earn, and you're just putting everything on credit cards. Somebody comes in and says, "Hey, you got these high interest rate credit cards, which is the debt of the United States debt. So you have these high interest rate credit cards that you got, and you're putting everything on these credit cards, and you're spending way more than you earn, and you're buying all this crap that you don't necessarily need, and you're giving money away to stuff that you don't actually know where it's going." Somebody comes in, audits you, and says, "Hey, you gotta reduce your Netflix and chill. You gotta reduce your Hulu. You gotta reduce your Spotify. You gotta reduce your purchases and this, and this, and this, so you can get back to status quo." So, at least in my personal opinion, this is a hard reset for the U.S. economy. We're hitting the reset button. We're intentionally looking to reduce government waste, fraud, and abuse so we can start back up with new programs and work within what we earn, quote unquote. Hopefully that was understandable. I know I kind of went on a tangent and all over the place, but let me know what you guys think about this. Drop it down in the comment section. Drop it down in the chat. Meet the depression, meet the press. Yeah, absolutely. Tariffs are needed because we don't have time to waste like the government does for decades. And remember, they changed the R word, they changed the recession word during the Biden administration. They said, we don't want to tarnish Biden's record. We don't want to tarnish Biden's record. We don't want him to have a recession on his record. I don't know why. We already know that Joe Biden and Hunter Biden were cozying up with China this entire time, outsourcing everything to China. Too bad we can't farm word salad and libtard tears. We could feed a lot of starving kids in Africa. Dry Heat says, let's go back to the gold standard. It would be great. But as we know, money is a promissory note. It's just a note. And it's just based on the value that's printed on that dollar. It really has no backing, which is crazy to me. But hey, no, Trump is going to keep us from a recession. This is what Rob writes. Catherine, Wall Street is gagging in economic treason against America because of them selling bonds to try to stop Trump. Let me see what else we got here. If the left would have it their way, they would sell our country to China. Airdrie writes, why is Caitlin or Kristen Welker so gleeful? You know, because this is a situation with TDS here. It's Trump derangement syndrome here. Monopoly money. Yep. Yeah, and this is the point too. Patrick Kennedy writes this: if you want your grandchildren to have anything, the adults now have to go through the pain. That's the best way to put it. That is. Boomers kind of did us funky. You know, we gotta fix what occurred with the boomers. Dry Heat writes, Tyson, get out of debt is an absolute must, 100%. Paying interest on money, paying. We're basically robbing Peter to pay Paul. So we got to fix that first. Then we bring back American manufacturing. We bring back self-reliance in regards, and not completely self-reliance, but relying on ourselves to stimulate our own economy versus outsourcing everything and sending everything overseas. Everything that you look at is manufactured outside of this country except for America. It would be fantastic. It would be amazing to see something finally made in America, to see products, mass products made in America, because this means people in America have jobs. Bidenomics created this mess. All right. Let's jump into this last topic here. Dropped balls. Michelle Obama. Be sure to smash the like button. Be sure to smash the like button. It does help with the YouTube algorithms. So dropped balls. We got Michelle Obama. Michelle and baby Barack. Baby Barack. Michelle Obama addresses bombshell divorce rumors. She says, I'm choosing me. That means that that's one of the lamest situations ever. That's like, hey, we're breaking up. It's not you. It's not you. It's me. Michelle Obama finally responds to rumors of her divorce from former President Barack Obama, but her explanation might not convince everyone. In a recent podcast, the former First Lady tried to dismiss the speculation around her marriage. They haven't been seen around anywhere. Remember when they took that birthday photo with Michelle Obama in that restaurant? They did not look happy together. I get it, because Barack likes guys. Rumors started gaining traction earlier this year. If you haven't checked out the video about Barack liking guys, I'll place that in the description somewhere down below. There's a fantastic interview with an individual that knew Barack Obama from the waist down. And that's all I got to say about that. That's all I got to say about that. Actually, you know what? You know who has something else to say about that? This person right here. Hold on. Let me see. Right here. Here we go.
Justin Trudeau is gay. Obama, gay. Zelensky, gay. Emmanuel Macron, gay and married to a trans man who molested him when he was a child.
Obama, gay. Michelle doing the big back thing and saying that I'm getting a divorce. Here's Michelle Obama on this podcast here.
Like all women and a lot of people, I operate from guilt. What should I do? What is the best thing for everybody else, right? Because it's easier for me to say, well, I did this because it's what I was supposed to do, right?
Yes.
Now is the time for me to start asking myself these hard questions of who do I truly want to be every day? And that changes. So who do I want to have a lunch with? How long do I want to stay in a place? Do I want to travel? If a girlfriend calls and says, let's go here, I can say yes, I can.
Yeah.
And
That's beautiful.
I'm trying to do that more and more.
Later. So basically, just on that little audio clip, you can tell that they ain't sticking together. Big Mike and baby Barack Hussein Obama ain't sticking together. That's just my personal opinion. And what the hell happened to Michelle Obama? Look at her here. She got her hair in and everything. And then in this photo down here in the lower third, she looks like something out of the Wayans brother movie or something. I don't know what the hell happened to her, man. She looks a little rough. But anyways, let me know what you guys think. Let me know. Is Barack a bottom or a top? Is he the catcher or the receiver? Let me know. Terry writes, so beautiful, no mention of her kids. Yep. Let's see what else this has to say.
In the conversation, the best-selling author, who acknowledged that losing her mom last year has also impacted her current perspective, suggested that her newfound independence led people to dissect the state of her marriage.
Right? And that's the thing that we, as women, I think we struggle with, like, disappointing people.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so much so that this year people were, you know, they couldn't even fathom that I was making a choice for myself, that they had to assume that my husband and I are divorcing. You know, this couldn't be a grown woman just making a set of decisions for herself. Right.
Right.
But that's what society does to us.
What does that sound like to you guys? What does that sound like? To me, that sounds like they ain't going to be together. And that's okay. That's okay if that's what they want to do. Rob says, Obama is definitely a bottom. Airdrie writes, she was never pregnant. Yep. I got to play this again. I'm sorry, guys. I got to play this again.
Justin Trudeau is gay. Obama, gay. Zelensky, gay. Emmanuel Macron, gay and married to a trans man who molested him when he was a child.
Sorry, had to do it. Obama, gay. Yeah. The pregnancy pic on the internet was photoshopped. Yeah. And we see this. We see this with the same thing with Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle with her fake baby bump. And she came out a couple hours later after supposedly having a kid. She didn't have the kid. She didn't have a kid. She was doing squats. She was doing burpees with the baby bump. I don't know. This to me sounds like they're not together. They're not gonna. She says, I'm gonna do what's best for me. I'm gonna do what's best for me. And that's cool. Do you? Is it too expensive to get a divorce? Because apparently they've already separated their $270 million assets. They've already separated that. Sounds to me like y'all ain't gonna be together. Or y'all going to be together for paper and it's just going to cost more money to get a divorce. Or it's just not going to look good for the Democrat Party if you decide to get a divorce. Then all of a sudden, Barack Obama comes out with the man. How crazy would that be? Anyways, I'm going to jump into the chat. Let me know what you guys think about this. I got to play it one more time.
Justin Trudeau is gay. Obama, gay. Zelensky, gay. Emmanuel Macron, gay and married to a trans man who molested him when he was a child.
All right, guys, I'm going to jump into the chat here, make sure that I didn't miss anybody. Shout out to everybody catching this on the live, by the way. Let me jump into the chat here. It was Rob's birthday the other day. Shout out to Rob. Happy birthday, Rob. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rob. Happy birthday to you. Sorry, I know that was a little off tune, but hey. Happy birthday. Rob turned 27. Let me jump into the chat here. All right, here. I sent a $1,200 payment to my credit card and they permanently closed my account, and I called and asked them about it, and they said it wasn't my normal type of transaction, so they flagged it for fraudulence. What? That's because you're making that new money, man. Making that new money. Rob's getting the bag. I love it. I love it. I'm way behind on the chat. Sorry, guys. Eric Tree writes, yes, Candace. Candace is going. Candace always goes hard. Thanks, Penn. I appreciate it. Penn writes, you host a great, informative, and amusing show. Always getting good. Appreciate it. I appreciate you too, Penn. Thank you so much. Happy birthday, Rob. Awesome. Awesome. All right. The pup just showed up. She says, I'm ready to play. All right, guys. I am going to jump on out of here. But before I do, I want to give a huge shout out to the moderators in the chat. Shout out to the mods in the chat. And shout out to everybody catching this on the live feed. Shout out to everybody catching this on the live feed. If you're catching this on the replay, type in replay in the comment section. Then I want to give a huge shout out to Patrick Kennedy for the 5 gifted memberships. Let's go.
And another one.
Sweet. All right, guys. I am Terry and Rob, Young Studs. Paul and I are booming. Let's go. All right, guys. I'm going to jump on out of here. I will be back tomorrow, Tuesday, 6 p.m. PST for the same bat time, same bat channel. It's the only thing that I can think of right now. Anyways, guys, be sure to smash the like button on your way out, share, subscribe, and I will catch you guys tomorrow at 6 p.m. PST. Thank you guys so much for rocking with me. I'll catch you on the next one.